G'day ladies and gentlemen, this is Ash from Dylan's Ugly Friends here, coming at you today with something a little bit different. I've travelled quite a distance to my own home, away from Matt's tin shed roof, so I don't have access to our Let's Play equipment. The only thing I've really got out here is the Netflix. So while I'm watching that, I decided to do a bit of a painting, muck around, new hobby sort of thing for myself. So I've been watching a lot of Adam Savage from Tested and Mythbusters fame, and Australia's own Cosplay Chris. Now, Cosplay Chris is the major inspiration for this, where he'll repaint a figure. He'll take something not unlike this Goku figurine, which cost me $30 on eBay, and turn it into something a little bit more special. The only difference between myself and Cosplay Chris is, one, he's a very attractive man and I'm one of Dylan's ugly friends, and two, he has experience, which is something I completely lack in this world. I'm not going to pimp this figure out. I don't want to turn this into a $300 figure because I know the best thing I can do is mess this up quite horribly. My goal is to utilize that, the backspace. As many of you may or may not know, I'm a huge fan of the Yakuza video game franchise, and the Yakuza in general. It's weird to be a fan of crime, but why not? The main reason why I like it is this, the Japanese tattoo, the traditional irezumi. I think it's beautiful. I've probably mentioned it on Let's Plays, how into it I am. My goal for this project, sorry for that, I'm filming with my iPad and I'm a terrible cameraman, is to paint an irezumi onto this figure. Now, if this is something you're interested in, by the end of the video, can you drop a comment? Just let me know, and maybe you can suggest some other figures for me to paint. I'm thinking mainly the Banpresto One Piece or Dragon Ball figures, because they have a lot of skin showing. Not only does it tantalize me in ways I don't care to explain, but it gives me a fair bit of canvas to work my tattooing out on. Like I said, I have no experience either tattooing or painting or really anything creative. My biggest claim to fame is that I did myself, Adam and Matt's character artwork for our Dungeons and Dragons characters. Yeah, I'm not nerdy, I'm a real cool guy. Anyway, I'm gonna look through some of my source material here today and try to find a tattoo that I think will suit this broad, beautiful back that Goku is in possession of. I'm thinking a dragon. Okay, Shenron from Dragon Ball, he's from Dragon Ball Z, but I'm going to cross it with the tattoo Kiryu Kazuma Sports in the Yakuza video game franchise. So I'm thinking, yeah, something quite similar. Maybe Shenron colors, have the orb up here, but instead of it being the kanji for Year of the Dragon, maybe it's a Dragon Ball. That's what I'm thinking now. I'll flick through here, I'll have a look at some interesting artwork. If I see anything that I'm like, hey, that's probably, well, that'll get me pulled from YouTube. Probably that'll be my inspiration. I'll film it, we'll draw it, we'll trace it on, we'll paint it. It'll probably be terrible, and yeah, I'll set this thing on fire. I don't know. But if this turns out alright and it's something you're into, let us know and I'll make some more of them. Look how intense he is. So unfortunately guys, it seems like I've run out of natural lighting for today, but I found this image in this book here, Japanese Style Tattoo Art by Rodrigo Mello. And I really like the placement, mainly because if I look on the Goku figure here, this shoulder boulder is going to be really difficult to paint over, and that's where I initially planned to have the mouth of the dragon. But with that one there, the tendrils are what reach up to the shoulder, which I think will be really easy, in comparison at least, to paint over all of those lumps. So I might have the tendrils here, the head here, an orb up here, claw, some body here, and then I might do some sort of a border. I think there's one in my Horikazu book that has a really good border in it. So I'll keep you updated. We might even end up doing a bit of a half sleeve if I can find some decent paint remover for the weird nipple colored blood. I don't know why his nipples are blood colored, but they are. Anyway, I'll keep you up to date. So this tattoo here is very, very similar to what I was imagining, except it's in black and white and I was planning color, and it's a great deal more intricate than I am currently capable of. But the placement of the head and the claw, that's pretty much spot on. It's got a background which I might try to copy one for one, but I feel like I may be biting off a bit more than I can chew for my first project. We'll see how I go. My final reference piece for this little project of mine is going to be Kiryu's back tattoo, found in the Yakuza 6 art book. There you go. But yeah, so unfortunately, Goku's back compared to this tattoo. It doesn't match up exactly 1-to-1 as you can see. But I'll start measuring it out, bust out the rulers, protractors, other tools used for measuring. Come morning, my light source is basically gone because it's night time now. So, yep, we'll get it figured out tomorrow morning, folks. Fresh, bright, early, heavily caffeinated. Alright guys, I've managed to secure some black paint, but I've done a pencil sketch on the back here of Goku. It might be a bit hard to see with all the light coming in, but I've just lightly gone over it with that Stedler pencil there and tried to copy the Kiryu Kazuma tattoo as best I can. Unexpected issue was when the pencil hits one of the little lines in Goku's back, trying to focus on it now with the camera, it just wants to follow it, so you do have to do a fair bit of erasing. I didn't bother drawing in any of the scales. Yeah, so it's going to come a little bit over the ribs there with the spikes down the back, and then come back up, around and down. If you can follow that there, so down here, up around here, and then back through here, so all of that will be covered. We'll have a bit of blank space up here. Like I said before, I'm contemplating doing maybe one half sleeve. We'll just see how painful it actually is with this. For my next one, definitely going to do a skinnier dude. So the initial painting has gone a bit better than expected. Like, those antlers are weird looking and very jagged, but when I color, I can go back in, go over some of the black, and then at the end go over with the black again for detailing. But I'm really happy. I tried over here. The bottom part is paint, and then the top is fine Sharpie. And I was like, oh, maybe I can jag this out a bit and use the Sharpies here, like that green and that yellow, but they just weren't fine enough compared to the paintbrush I'm using. Alright, so I've finished the line work. It's not as clean as I was hoping, but something this detailed, this small, for my first time using a brush, I'm pretty happy. I'm really hoping I'm going to hide a lot of the crimes I've committed with the painting. I'm going to go in and start painting the green. Now my plan is to do the scales at the end, use a lighter green to highlight. And hopefully it's not that dodge. Overall I'm like a 4 out of 10 with how it looks now. I'm not the happiest, but again, for the first one, I'm going to live with it. So I'll report back when I've painted that green. So I've done a little bit of painting here. I've got the green of the dragon. It's turning out okay. I am able to hide some of the crimes I've committed against this poor old Goku figure with the black pen. I did some experimentation up here. Those black lines I redid with the fine point Sharpie. As you can see, oh, there goes my paintbrush. They're a bit thicker than I would like. But I turns out don't have red or orange paint because I am a moron, so that's also the fine point Sharpie. But yeah, the black outline, I might be able to do some little touch-ups with it, but I'd much rather the brush at this point, despite never really using one before. Yeah, so I'm just going to let what's there dry. I'm going to take a bit of a break. I've been at this since 6 and now it's 12, so I've put in a solid 6 hours of planning, painting. I can see why this is such a time-consuming hobby now. It's very fine work there. Oh, you can see I've experimented down the bottom with some scales, but yeah, I'll show you what he looks like all put together. Hopefully this is dry enough to get away with it. Then if I rotate, dramatic reveal here. Yeah, so hopefully it turns out okay. I think it'll look pretty good once I put all the scales in, but first attempt, happy, no, expected, yes. So I've done a bit more here. I've painted in the cloud slash waves, not really sure. I intended it to be cloud, but it looks, I mixed white and a light blue together and it's very, very pale. I've put the scales on, which from a distance just, I don't know, I should have done larger scales. I'm trying to get my, sorry guys, focusing on this, come on. There we go. I've got to redo the eye, obviously. But other than the scales being too small, I'm pretty happy with how it's turned out. The underbelly and the spikes of the dragons blends a bit more in on camera than it does to my eye. But I think that's the trouble with using a green and a turquoise. I ended up putting a spike on the elbow, added in a few more clouds, and unfortunately the part I like the best is this part down the bottom. And the second lesson I've learned, other than just the scales size, is that maybe I should have sketched it out when it was all attached, because it is cool to see it from above, you know, like, so it does have the vibe that it goes down onto his bum and stuff like the traditional ones do. I nearly knocked over my water pot there. But yeah, for a first attempt here, I'm just doing finishing touches now. I'll probably just do a few more lines and then hit it with a brown wash overall, and hit all of the figure with a brown wash actually, except for the hair, because yeah, I want to make it, it's a bit shiny and I want to make it like really sink down into the flesh. And this is a great figure. Banpresto always do a really cool job with their sculpts, at least the ones I've seen, and there's a lot of cool detail lines that show up all right, but I wouldn't mind hitting it with a brown wash just to make it all pop, and then yeah, we'll assess where I'm at. So I was able to achieve my goal. We did paint an irezumi onto the back of Goku. Was it the best work I've ever done? No, mainly because I rushed the drying process. Doing that brown wash over the top actually took some of the paint off. You can see the fresher points here around the teeth and some of the snout. Didn't really give me the desired effect I was after. It does look like an old tattoo, but it looks like an old tattoo painted onto a figure poorly. I'm hoping that with time and practice, my skills do improve. I did learn a lot from this go around. 3 big things. 1, scale size. Never ever make them that small again. For comparison, that's my thumb. I haven't got particularly large hands either, so yeah, it's very fine work. That was a mistake. Lesson 2, sketch directly onto the figure, not onto a page. Lesson 3, let it dry. I think those would be the big 3 I'd be taking away here. Maybe lesson 4, invest in a decent paintbrush, because at first it was so easy, as you see earlier in the video. This final work was so easy, but towards the end, the brush was fraying. I don't know if that's a fault of my own. Like I said, I'm very new to this. I've never actually painted anything for pleasure, like outside of stuff they made me do for primary school. Yeah, ever. But yeah, the brown wash worked really well on the rest of Goku, I have to say. Like, it kind of matches the dodgy hashtag injuries that are painted onto this. Like, it looks really cool on that knee and around the neck. I actually really like the way it's grabbed. Some areas, if I could have my way again, I'd redo, like here, the base of the neck. Like, that's obviously a mold line, but the mold lines I was afraid of really catching, it didn't. But yeah, there you go. I'm going to give myself a 4 out of 10 for this go round, and drop a comment down below. Let me know what the next figure I should paint is. Keep in mind that the goal was to add an irezumi onto it, because that's going to be my gimmick, at least for a little while, I think. No one else really seems to be doing it. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you very much. Catch you next time.